Hey everyone, here's another video about the great Gene Krupa, and this one is about his playing on the famous Sing Sing Sing, and in particular some of the stickings he used when he was playing the floor tom, playing things kind of like this. Band in the 1930s, and it featured Gene Krupa on the floor tom, first drum solo that I ever tried to learn, and I really became fascinated with it, especially the 1938 Benny Goodman Carnegie Hall version. So I listened to that all the time. But when I first tried to play this back then, I was doing it with single strokes, kind of like this. And that can work, and I've heard great drummers play these kind of tom-tom rhythms like that. But in looking at these different versions, there were certain stickings that he seemed to use throughout his career, from when he first started playing Sing 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 until the end of his life. So another thing, like a lot of players back then, Gene Krupa played traditional grip, but he would switch to match grip when playing the floor tom. That was very common back then. Always playing continuous eighth notes. He was sometimes leaving out a note here and there. So this first sticking, the rhythm is a quarter note and then 6 eighth notes. And the sticking is, I'll play it slow. So play a little faster. 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 And when Gene Krupa would play these stickings, there's all these subtle little accents and different things. You really go to the source and hear how he does this. But one thing he would do a lot is really accent beat 2 with his left hand. And he's often playing a double there. Not always, but a lot of times playing a double, and he could really accent that first note of the double and ghost the second note so much that it almost didn't sound like he was playing a double. And that's hard to do. That takes some control. I'll try to do it, but he'd really play. one sticking that he would use. Then another 1-bar sticking that he would play a lot, same rhythm, quarter note and 6/8 notes, and this sticking is see there, he would sometimes also accent beat 2. Now that's just one note on the left hand, and those off beats with the right hand. So if you take those 2 1-bar stickings and just go back and forth between them, start to get into a little bit of an idea of what he was doing. And then something he would do, he would maybe, here's one that he played, where he goes back and forth between those 2 stickings, but then he hangs on that first sticking for an extra bar. So he would do that kind of thing. So you can play around with these, just with those 2 stickings, and mix them up in all different combinations and get a lot of different ideas. And when you hear him play, again, he does a lot of things other than those, but he does a bunch of things that are combinations of those 2 stickings. And then one more that I'll show you, which is, this is a whole bar of 8th notes, and he would play double strokes. What he would do a lot would be to accent the second note of the double with his right hand. So sometimes he wouldn't accent all of them. He might play. So that takes another kind of control, and that feels so different from if you played the same thing with single strokes. Single strokes, you have plenty of time to play that accent. It's all by itself. But to accent the second note of a double, but not the first, that again takes a certain kind of control. And you know, there are a lot of drum method books written just about those technical issues, the things he does where accenting the first note of a double, but not the second, or accenting the second note of a double, but not the first. You know, the famous drum method book, Accents and Rebounds by George Lawrence Stone, that has a lot of exercises just about those technical issues. So I think it's really interesting when you hear Gene Krupa solo on Sing, Sing, Sing. It's not a flashy around the drums kind of solo. He stays on the floor tom, and it's just a groove. He keeps the same groove that's going throughout the arrangement, and you could dance to it. It's just a great feeling kind of thing, which makes it maybe not so obvious that underneath that, there's some pretty deep technical stuff going on. These are, I think, some tricky stickings and accents that he was doing. So then just here's one more pattern with all three of those stickings, and here's a break that he plays at the Benny Goodman Carnegie Hall concert from 1938 involving these three stickings. So you see, that was mostly the first sticking, but then there was one bar of that third sticking in there, and then one bar of the second sticking at the end. So it combined all three of them. So again, these are some basic ideas, but hopefully this gives you sort of an idea of some of the things he was doing. And now when you listen to his playing, knowing that those are some of the stickings, I think maybe a lot of it will start to make sense. So, oh, one more thing. Another thing he would do, not all the time, but sometimes on Sing, 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 and it's a great effect. The last video I made was talking about the stick shots and rim shots that Gene Krupa would play. And I was doing those on the snare drum, things like this. He would sometimes do that same thing on the floor tom, matched grip. another really cool effect that he would get. So I hope this was fun. I hope this was informative. Check out Gene Krupa. He recorded Sing, Sing, Sing many times over his career. So there's a lot of different versions with Benny Goodman, and then with his own band, different bands. So you really get a chance to hear him do a lot of different things. And just one other thing I would like to point out is that a lot of times, especially with Benny Goodman, he would play the whole solo. He would stay on the floor tom. Now, some people, when they play Sing, 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 they'll start on the floor tom, then they'll come off for the solo and go around the drums a bit more. And Gene Krupa would do that himself sometimes later on. And obviously that's a cool thing to do. But I just think it's impressive when you hear him play an extended solo and realize he's never coming off the floor tom and really never playing anything other than eighth notes, a quarter note thrown in there here and there, but really that's what he's doing, and yet it feels so good, it never gets boring. And the thing that I find really impressive about hearing Gene Krupa play these things, he never sounds like he wants to be doing anything else. He never sounds like this is restraining him or holding him back in any way. And to me, he's the king of this kind of rhythm. Thanks a lot, everybody.